Good morning and welcome to an unscheduled edition of Crime Time with DutyRon. Guys, I'm a retired New York City police detective with 20 plus years of law enforcement. And if you like all things true crime related from that police perspective, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you will get all things DutyRon and Ed Wallace when we go live or upload another video. This morning, I want to talk to you about news that broke yesterday at around 6 o'clock our time here on the East Coast. Marcus Spanevelo, the father of a sailor, ex of Cassie, has been arrested in Tennessee. Now, that was breaking news yesterday at 6 o'clock, but unfortunately, I was out with my brother-in-law, my sister, for his 60th birthday. So I couldn't go live, but there was lots of coverage on this breaking news story. Again, I appreciate everybody, the Patreon supporters, the channel members, and all of the folks who positively engage in this community. You're an unbelievably important part of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. Again, this is great news, but we have a lot more work to do. I'm going to today go over the extradition hearing and the process to bring this scumbag, Marcus Spanevelo, back to the state of Florida, where he will stand charges when these charges are upgraded and when they want to prosecute these charges. Hey, but joining us here is my buddy, Ed Wallace, on another two days in a row, zero to no notice. Ed Wallace just puts his Superman cape on and joins us. Hello, Ed. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, folks.
Yeah, we got the Gabby Petito Foundation fundraiser, but I needed to come live to educate our folks and let the audience know what's going on, because Ed, they all are going to want to know what happens to this scumbag next. Your thoughts on the arrest and the swift wheels of justice moving?
Well, I love it. I love it. So you see there's a coordination between multiple states and multiple law enforcement agencies. They obviously had this guy under surveillance, and they found him in Tennessee. And the Tennessee authorities, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation and Highway Patrol, had him on their radar. And when the warrant came through from Florida jurisdiction, they picked him up. So it's a great thing.
Yeah, and we love to see our law enforcement counterparts, the state, local, federal authorities working together and the wheels of justice moving forward. The charges are tampering with evidence, giving false information in a missing persons case, and destruction of evidence. And Ed, and you and I spoke in pretty good detail yesterday about the cell phone missing, about him being evasive on what happened. In other words, returning back to Alabama with their daughter that they share custody with, right? He gets her every other weekend, according to her sister. And he was supposed to do it in exchange with bringing the child back to the place where she had permanent custody with Cassie's father in their home. So these charges are relevant to what he gave statements to the police about what happened. The interrogation and interview providing, Ed, we don't like to hear this word, but I want an attorney. If he says that, then all bets are off and we're at a stalemate. Hey, do you want to talk about the importance? Again, we went over the evidence and we're going to talk about the extradition hearing, but let the folks know that are tuning in, you know, how important the cell phone data is. We're going to get subpoenas for her cell carrier, and they're going to look at her last known pings and things of that nature. But this is, and I love that polo that you're wearing, that pullover, the crime scene unit. Let everybody see it. Let me go full screen with that. This is Ed Wallace's garb there, NYPD crime scene unit. I love it. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, if you could just let them know, you know, again, the importance right now of how, you know, how this evidence is going to come into play to show that something nefarious happened in that Navarro parking lot. I think it was like some kind of restaurant that we're in the back of, and they have video evidence and stuff like that.
Now, the evidence they speak of can be any number of things. First, it could be a weapon that may have been used in an assault or in her demise, if that is in fact the case. Secondly, it could be the cell phone. Now, when you have your cell phones on, I don't know if anybody's ever noticed this before, but um, it is, if you have your GPS location, your GPS on at all times, it knows where you are at all times. And then sometimes, like, you may not even initiate this, but like you go to a restaurant and you don't even, you didn't use the phone to get directions to the restaurant or anything like that. And then after you leave the restaurant, well, something pops up on your phone for you to rate the restaurant that you were just at.
Right.
Well, how does that happen? Well, it happens because your cell phone knows where you were.
Right.
Okay. And you were there for a length of time. It knows the location, and it figures out that you were at that restaurant, and sends you like a survey to say, hey, rate this restaurant, or whatever the case may be. And it happens all the time. So these cell phones are actually on all the time. If the GPS locator is on, it's there. And then they're actively pinging cell sites. So as you're driving through a community, there may be multiple cell towers, and those cell towers are pinging your phone. And if you use your phone, then one of those three cell towers are going to be carrying your signal for your phone, your data, or whatever it is you're using your phone for, internet search and so forth. So if that cell phone was in his car, when she was abducted and driving to wherever they were driving to, they should be able to locate movements of the cell phone, the vehicle, so forth, and track those locations. In addition, the body in and of itself, the victim in and of itself, is evidence. All right. So one of those charges could be dealing with her.
Yeah, I mean, good points there, Ed. And my wife goes nuts about what you just spoke about. She's like, "Are they watching us? Are they tracking our every move? These."
They're listening to those cell phones. People are listening to your conversation. If you ever read the Google search terms and conditions, which nobody really reads, they're listening.
Yeah.
And they're just because advertisers are paying Google to advertise, right? So they're listening to your conversation. Like, for instance, I had this discussion with my wife, and she was arguing with me, and she said, "Oh, they don't listen." They said they do listen. And of course, then there were several news articles saying how the cell phone companies, Amazons and so forth, they listen to the conversation. Your what is it, Alexa or Siri or
Siri, Alexa, yeah,
all of those things, right? They listen, and then they send advertising your way based upon what you were talking. So now I did a test with my wife. We said, okay. We put the phones away, went in another room, and we formulated a conversation. And then we came back out and we had this conversation. And the conversation was about the villages in Florida and golf carts, right? The next thing you know, both our phones are getting commercials for the villages and golf carts.
Oh my God. And here's two first-grade NYPD detectives arguing out about eavesdropping and artificial intelligence. And there's classic proof of it. I spoke about leasing a new Hyundai Genesis truck, and I didn't search. And all of a sudden, I got an advertisement for the GV70, GV80. And I was like, babe, we just had a conversation about this. I didn't search on Google for it. So that is proof. And I'm sitting here looking at my phone and looking at some of the things, the advertisements that come up. Hey, folks in the chat are saying, and this is a good point, that part of the destruction of evidence also could be him taking her phone and putting it in airplane mode, or shutting it down, or throwing it out the window. We don't know if they've got that phone recovered, because remember, they made an arrest and we didn't hear about it right away. They kept that kind of under wraps. You and I were speaking about this case just hours before, and then at 6 p.m. our time, this thing broke, or around 6 p.m. I want to put the timeline on so people can see just a little bit of what we're talking about. Some folks might come across this and not know, but here's the timeline. It says Sunday, March 27th, 7 p.m. At 7 p.m., it's still light down in Florida on the West Coast. Cassie is scheduled for a custody exchange of her 4-year-old daughter, Sailor, with the child's father, Marcus Spanevelo, at around 7 p.m. in the parking lot of Juan's Bodegas restaurant at Navarro Beach. And we see the water tower at Navarro Beach. It's been played over and over again. It's an open parking lot. It's right at the ocean. The water is right there, but they are in the back. Deputies say this is the last time that Cassie is seen. Sunday, March 27th at about 9:40 p.m. Cassie's father, after texting Cassie asking where her whereabouts were, receives an odd text back from Cassie's phone stating she's having car trouble and phone trouble. She adds she is staying at Spanevelo's home for the night. Now, we know this is bullcrap, and we know that this is Brian Laundrie-esque. Another perpetrator that we covered, a scumbag, did the exact same thing, just with a little different wording, right? Talking about Grandpa Stan, and we're going to see the Petitos and Schmidt family today at the fundraiser this afternoon. But this is Brian Laundrie-esque. I mean, I'm going to go full screen so people can really see it.
Where is his house? Because he's in like 3 different states.
Yeah, I believe he has a business in Alabama.
Right, he was a work site in Alabama.
Right. So work site in Alabama. I don't know if he had his own business. I got a couple of text messages saying that he goes under an alias of something. I'm not going to speak on that because it wasn't confirmed. But I'm unsure if he has residence in Florida. I would believe, and Ed, you and I as law enforcement professionals know this, it's very odd that a custody arrangement would be made where you're bringing a 4-year-old across state lines for every other week visit with a father. In other words, if we were here in New York and the significant other resided in Jersey or Pennsylvania, that would not go over well with child welfare. What's your thoughts on that, Ed?
Absolutely. They don't want you crossing state lines with these kids.
Yeah.
That has to be all approved by the judge.
Right. And it doesn't make sense. So I would have to say that he maybe has an apartment somewhere in that Navarro Beach area or some things of that nature. I mean, this is, when it comes to finding out and solving this case, I think it's insignificant, but it's important. It's important in an investigation where you want to know, hey, why is this happening? And, right away with this text message, let me put that back on the screen. With this message here, saying that she's going to stay at this guy's house. You heard her brother. We all heard her brother and her sister say that she was petrified of this guy. He put a gun up to her head. She told them, if anything ever happens to me, it's him. Well, so why would she send a text? And this is further proof, and looking at the charges, giving false information in a missing person case, but the destruction of evidence and tampering with evidence. Some people get caught up on destruction and tampering. Ed, do you want to take that before I go into this Monday piece?
Well, I mean, it's very nuanced. Let's just put it this way: just because you delete something from your phone, it's not fully deleted.
Right.
There are remnants of it there. Okay. So, and they can, using software, put it back together, put the pieces back together. So that could be a tampering with evidence, or he could have said something to the child, and intimidated the child with what the child may have seen, right. Just as was done in the Wells case,
exactly.
And that could be a tampering charge as well.
Yeah. Thank you for that. There's a lot of questions, a lot of emails, a lot of conversation that I've seen on the Twitter sphere and on social media about that. So let me highlight this Monday. So we completed the weekend, and now we're into Monday, March 28th. A text message shows Spanevelo tells Cassie's father at about 5:30 p.m. that Cassie asked him to drop her off in the middle of nowhere in Destin, Florida, so she can go to her friend's Stacy Porter's home. Porter, who lives in Alabama, later tells Channel 3 that Cassie never arrived at her home. Okay, so I guess Destin is in Alabama. Spanevelo adds he left with Sailor, that's the daughter, and that Cassie's car was in Navarre. Again, this is all part of the investigation. This is, what the news is reporting. Here are some text messages. Actually, they're sharing. Being this is on Twitter, I'm showing it. But if this wasn't on Twitter, I would not show this, Ed. But unfortunately, news reporters here, Olivia Iverson. This is all over the internet. Here is actual text messages. This is all stuff that's going to come up in court. And I don't necessarily love the fact that they're sharing this stuff. What's your thoughts on that, Ed?
Yeah, you want to kind of hold that close to your vest. I don't know why.
I cringe. This is cringe.
Yeah, I don't know why they put that out there like that, because it's going to be an important part of the evidence for the case.
Yeah. So this is a news reporter. Their job is to put out news. So if somebody shared that with them, i.e., the family, it's a mistake. I can't. This is Joe Murray and defense attorneys' wet dreams. Again, I hate to say it, but it makes them so excited when they see this, because this is stuff that will come up in court. These messages are part of the evidence when this guy gets locked up for, God forbid, the worst case scenario here. So I'm just going to scroll over it. I'm not going to even speak about it. But let's go back to Monday, the 28th. Cassie's family and friends officially report her missing. And again, here we are from Friday night to now Monday morning. She's finally official report Cassie's missing, and beginning their own search. Social media posts by friends regarding Cassie's disappearance gained significant traction. This is when JB and Nicole Schmidt contacted me. Nicole reached out to me and said, hey, here's a case. And a bunch of people said, hey, please share this. Please share this. And then Tuesday, March 29th, the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office, let me get this right. I want everybody to be able to see it. Officially announces Cassie as a missing and endangered person. Deputies add that they recovered her car at Navarre Beach, later revealing her purse was found inside the vehicle. Cassie's friends begin an organized search. So this news reporter, this is her Twitter. And then look, Wednesday, March 30th, Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office confirms 4-year-old sailor is safe after locating Spanevelo in Birmingham, Alabama. Santa Rosa County detectives interview Spanevelo before returning to Northwest Florida. This is where we were confused. Is like, hey, they interviewed him. Why is he not brought in? And then here we are, fast forward to yesterday, 4 days later, he's locked up, but it seems to me like Highway Patrol got him. He seems to me like he was trying to flee. He was leaving his home state. He was into Tennessee. So now we have Florida, Alabama, Tennessee. Where was he heading next? And that's the sleazy part of this whole thing. And this is what shows that this guy has guilt written all over his face. And we know as seasoned investigators, when perps feel the squeeze, they go on the run or they go on the hide, right? Mm-hmm. And it appears that this is certainly what he was doing.
Well, if that's the case, then when they finally get him extradited back to Florida and he goes before for his bail hearing, denied, he's a flight risk.
Right. So that brings me to the next point. Thanks, Ed, for reeling me in. I wanted to briefly explain to you guys, because I worked in the warrant squad for over a decade, and I know what the extradition process is like. And it does vary from state to state, but it doesn't vary when it comes to the letter of the law. So he is afforded an opportunity to fight and to fight extradition with his attorney, which never works. They never win that, but it takes 30 days. So it delays the case by 30 days. If Marcus Spanevelo fights extradition and says, in other words, I'm not going back to Florida, he'll be held for 30 days. But during that 30 days, and this is important, folks, his time in custody will not count. If he waives extradition and he goes back to Florida and doesn't fight it, his time in custody, like the clock started ticking as soon as they put him in cuffs and put him in the back of the highway patrol vehicle and took him into a place of lodging. All of this time will count when he gets ultimately sentenced or gets, whatever happens to him. So his lawyer is going to tell him, and I guarantee you this guy lawyered up right away. He's not speaking. He knows they were in the process of fighting with attorneys back and forth for child custody. He had to probably face paying a substantial amount of money, and he was fighting that. We know that. So I think that he's going to waive his extradition and in a few short days, probably by Monday, Tuesday, we'll see him back into the state of Florida. And hopefully authorities there can get to the bottom of this investigation-wise. Now, Ed, what happens if he just gets his, takes that Fifth Amendment and lawyers up and now stops talking? Now it's going to be a matter of crack investigators from the FBI, the state, local, and federal authorities extracting enough information to show that he was responsible for her disappearance, correct?
Well, yeah, they'll get warrants. If obviously they met probable cause because the judge gave them an arrest warrants. So now they have probable cause to get search warrants. They'll seize the vehicle and download the information. If the vehicle, depending on what age the vehicle is, download the information from the vehicle's data hard drive and analyze that. They'll get the phones, they'll analyze the phones, and then they'll start looking for patterns of from the time he left the parking lot, and they'll look for patterns where he may have stopped at a specific location and was stationary for a period of time,
right?
In order to do something nefarious with the victim. And then they'll gather up all that information and start searching.
Yeah. Hey, I wanted to play quickly, Ed. Thank you for that. It gives a great insight to what's going to go happen next behind the scenes. Now, we don't want to go into the details, the nitty gritty of what they're doing, but again, this gives you a great overview of the investigative body and what their job is entailing and what they're going to try to do. I'm going to show you this is an outside video of Cassie's sister. She's going to talk about the case a little bit. She's being interviewed, and it's kind of windy, but a sheriff, the POI, comes out from Florida, and they're talking about water searches, land searches. So I think this is kind of somewhat important. So I'm going to put this up on the screen, and then Ed will wrap it up because we got some traveling to do, brother. You got longer to travel than I do, coming out to Long Island, but I'm going to be hanging out with Ed Wallace. Him and I may do a quick little live depending on the situation there. So you may see Ed and I live from the Gabby Petito Foundation fundraiser, but we'll see how it's set up. And if not, we'll pre-record something. We'll put something out there for you guys. But let's listen to Cassie's sister speak here. And this was, I believe, yesterday.
We are still so unsure of what exactly happened at the actual exchange of the child, but we do know she was at this parking lot last. So our focus has been around this area primarily, and we are going to move towards the Destin area as well. We have heard some things back as far as video surveillance is concerned and whatnot, and that is how we were able to verify that she was in this parking lot as well as Marcus at the same time at a certain point, being the last place known to have seen her. So we can verify that, but like I said, we're still asking for any other footage people have, even car dash cams, anything. We're very interested in helping find her. We still are trying to locate Cassie's cell phone. Her purse was found inside of the vehicle, but we still cannot locate her cell phone. The most important thing we're looking for is her phone. So we do know that was not in there. Absolutely. That is not how Cassie would talk or speak. We totally do not believe that was Cassie responding in those messages. And she would never, ever take up any offers from him like that to stay with him or help him or anything. First of all, without telling us or considering with us.
Hey, Ed, what's your thoughts? I'm going to put it back, but what's your thoughts on this location right here? This is the surrounding area of that parking lot where she was supposed to make that exchange. Let me get this off because it's going crazy. A lot of sand, a lot of beach.
Yeah, but there's also houses nearby that have second stories that look upon the dunes there in the area. Maybe at night it gets a little more secluded and a little more private if you were going to do something bad there.
It was becoming nighttime. It was 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but now she tipped us off to the fact that there was video surveillance that puts all the players there, the missing, the daughter, the
perp
boyfriend, the perp, right, ex-boyfriend, and so if there was videotape of surveillance of him walking her towards that area, and then they go off camera or whatever the case may be, but then okay, let's go search this area.
Right.
And if he's seen coming back to his car with just his daughter and no Cassie, and jumping in the car and driving off, that's crucial evidence as well. So
absolutely. Let's let the rest of this play. Good points, Ed. Thank you for that. And again, this video evidence that she talks about here, the 5 or 6 pieces of video, and I'm sure that they're going to get more. It's important. This is an important part of the puzzle, putting it together. So let's listen to this. This is her sister speaking.
So we do know that was not in there.
Absolutely.
That is not. We still cannot locate her cell phone. We're very interested in helping find her. We still are trying to locate Cassie's cell phone. Her purse was found inside of the vehicle, but we still cannot locate her cell phone. The most important thing we're looking for is her phone. So we do know that was not in there.
Absolutely.
That is not how Cassie would talk or speak. We totally do not believe that was Cassie responding in those messages. And she would never, ever take up any offers from him like that to stay with him or help him or anything. First of all,
we spoke about that,
telling us or considering with us. So that's not like her at all. No. Well, just in general with her relationship with him, it has always been, she has had some fear of him. He's always been controlling and tried to be manipulative, and she had some fear of him in the past and what he's capable of or planning maliciously towards her. So we always had a red flag on him, always, and her as well. She wanted to remind us something happened to me. It's him.
So this area here is we have a lot of woods, wooded areas. We also have a lot of shoreline. We have an intercoastal, which is very large. It goes all the way from Pensacola to Fort Walton. So there's a lot of waterways, and there's also a lot of wooded area to the north of us. Well, I can tell you it's extremely active. We have a lot of resources out in the field right now. Our entire major crimes division is working on this, and along with other personnel that's either assigned to us. We also have FDLE, which is a Florida Department of Law Enforcement, as well as the FBI. The cell phone is a piece of evidence we're just not ready to discuss at this time. But that may come out shortly. Well, the search is taking place in a very large area. To consider, from Panama City to Birmingham, Alabama is our area of concern. And right now there is searching taking place. Obviously, we have this area here, and we have a lot of searchers that have assisted and have taken their time to come out here. And if anyone does have tips, they need to contact Santa Rosa County Crime Stoppers at 850-437-STOP.
All right, so there you have it, Ed. Anything on what he said there about the cell phone and things of that nature? He's talking about all of the personnel, responding on this case. Ooh, there it is, Ed Wallace.
We got to silence that.
I heard the bagpipes. Nice. So this public information officer, there was lots of chatter from the people in the community that were happy to see him. They know this guy. He's there to give out, what he can legally. He talked about the cell phone, talked about the wide area and the area of concern between Alabama and Florida, and that's what they're concentrating on. But the overall big picture here is, the electronic data is going to be key. And again, like what we spoke about, there's no tolls going back and forth. They confirm there's no toll plazas, things of that nature. But there are, depending on his vehicle, there could be vehicle data from the ECM chip inside the electronic computer module. They're going to look at that. Everything is on the table as far as investigations go. And we can go down 100 different rabbit holes on this, but that's not what this is about. It's about the next step and the extradition. Getting this guy back to Florida is what's going to happen next. And people ask, well, What if he drove her out of the state and committed this crime out of the state? It's really where this could turn out to be almost like a kidnapping of the previous case that we were talking about with Naomi. You know, he could have forced her to get into the car with her and drove off with her and committed this crime elsewhere. But the crime happened at that parking lot spot. Correct, Ed?
Well, the abduction did. It could be a multi-state prosecution where they, or you know, it has been done before. Like here, we had a guy in Staten Island. He picked up people in Manhattan, brought them to his apartment in Staten Island, murdered them, dismembered them, and then dumped the body parts in Jersey. And cooperative agreements were made between prosecutors in New York and prosecutors in New Jersey. And then what ended up happening is New Jersey took the whole thing.
Oh, okay. So they kind of packaged it together, took the evidence. So we don't know what could happen here. It all depends on what he in fact did. And the pieces of this puzzle, it's up to law enforcement, state, federal, local, to put it together. And that's what makes detective work so important. Detectives and the investigation is so important that, you know, they're the only ones that can put the pieces of this puzzle together. And that's what's going to take some time. They need to, you know, look at every avenue. And, you know, we're hoping and praying that there are people with dash cams or homes or businesses with, you know, with any type of evidentiary video evidence, something that can help move this investigation forward. But yeah, so we had,
and he's driving, right? And he's got a truck, and you know, he's driving distances, so he, you know, may have to have refueled.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. He's had to have stopped in that you know,
and he's got a small child that may need care as well.
Breaking news today.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. You know, so much. There's so many unanswered questions, and we all have them, and we all want answers to them because that's human nature, right? We want to know. I'm going to show you a quick 25-second clip of what was reported last night. This was while I was out to dinner with my brother-in-law, and this is what the news was reporting on. So I'm going to give you guys quickly a 25-second overview.
Following breaking news today, the ex-boyfriend of missing Navarre woman Cassie Carli has been arrested in Tennessee. The Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office reports Marcus Spanevelo was arrested just before 5 tonight on charges of tampering with evidence, giving false information concerning a missing persons case, and destruction of evidence. The Sheriff's Office says that Spanevelo was arrested based on a Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office major crimes warrant.
Okay, so there you go.
Earlier today, the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office announced the arrest of the ex to Cassie Carli, the Navarre woman missing for nearly a week now after last being seen on Navarre Beach. I spoke with Cassie's sister tonight on the arrest and her message to those searching.
About the arrest definitely brought a little bit of relief to us. Know that he is in custody finally. And hopefully that will bring us some more answers.
Agents with Tennessee Bureau of Investigation and Tennessee Highway Patrol worked alongside the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office to arrest Marcus Spanevelo late Friday night. It's unclear why Cassie Carli's former partner was in the volunteer state, but officials confirmed he was located near the Capitol in Maury County and booked into the local jail on charges of tampering with evidence, giving false information concerning a missing persons case, and destruction of evidence. The Sheriff's Office says Spanevelo was arrested based on a Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office major crimes warrant.
He looks evil.
She's the most caring, selfless, loving person I know.
Cassie's sister, Raeann Carli, says she's grateful for the relentless effort from law enforcement.
It was nice to know that when the cops told us they were keeping an eye on him, they were true to their word.
Raeann tells me Sailor, Cassie's daughter, is in safe hands and hoping to return to the Carli family custody soon as search efforts continue for the 37-year-old mother.
Sailor was the only good thing to come out of my sister meeting Marcus. Her spirit, I know that it is with everyone as we're searching. She touched so many people and was an amazing mother.
Now, it's been 6 days since Carli was last seen at Navarre Beach. She disappeared after a custody exchange of her daughter on Sunday. Family, friends, kind strangers all have been looking for her ever since. Debbie Stanton of Shalimar joined in on the search. Even though Stanton doesn't know Carli or her family, she says she felt called over this last week to bring her boat out inland to help.
I'm going to pause this for a second, Ed, because you saw the live that I did Friday night with Rocky over in with the Naomi case. Rocky Pastorino, great guy, did almost the same thing as what we're seeing right here. These are volunteer community members, people who saw something about this case, saw news reports, and are out here searching. There's arguments that, it could be good, could be bad, but anything is better than nothing in a case like this.
I think the police were there, though, and so I'm sure they gave them proper directions as to what to do and not to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But so the reason I stopped that there is because it puts it right in perspective, is that here we are. We were talking about a case on the other side on the West Coast, and now we're down on the East Coast in Southern Florida, West Coast of Florida. But now we're looking at folks who are coming out here and just volunteering. And that's an important thing to stress, that we need people to continue to do this in all cases, not just high profile cases, but in all cases that involve community members that go missing under, suspicious, conditions. So,
volunteers, again, they're a force multiplier. You're talking about a county sheriff's office, and they're going to need assistance. So long as it's organized and it's done under the direction of law enforcement, it's a good thing.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And this is a sign of humanity at its best right here. You look at these
Shalimar
folks.
Join in on the search. Even though Stanton doesn't know Carli or her family, she says
let's listen to what she has to say.
This last week to bring her boat out and lend a helping hand.
What's going through your mind right now?
She's got a boat.
That we need to find her. That we just really need to find her today. Day 6.
You can follow the case on our web exchange of her daughter on Sunday. Family, friends, kind strangers, all have been looking for her ever since. Debbie Stanton of Shalimar joined in on the search. Even though Stanton doesn't know Carli or her family, she says she felt called over this last week to bring her boat out and lend a helping hand.
Took a boat out. Wow. Yeah, I put that back because I wasn't sure if that's what he was saying.
Keep playing it, because look how organized it is. They're credentialed, so their identifications are taken. See?
Right.
And their identification are taken, and they put it down so they law enforcement will know who all was there.
Right.
And they have all their information. This is a good thing.
Yeah, this is beautiful.
Family, she says this last week to bring her boat out and lend a helping hand.
What's going through your mind right now?
Yeah, look at
last
that.
Week to bring her boat out and lend a helping hand.
What's going through?
Yeah, volunteer. That's organized right there. They got credentials, like you said, volunteers, and she probably had to go and register with the local police there, so they know who's out in their boat searching, and they're probably using sonar. This could be some kind of volunteer search group that we don't know about. So this is freaking awesome. I love it. I really love it.
Through your mind right now?
That we need to find her. That we just really need to find her today. Day 6.
You can follow the case on our website. We've detailed a timeline from Carli's disappearance to the recent arrest made.
Just want to see what this is.
Following the arrest of Spanevelo, people who know Cassie Carli well and people who don't even know her at all have been meeting at this spot ever since Monday, trying to find her. It's been 6 days since 37-year-old Cassie Carli was last seen at Navarre Beach. She disappeared after a custody exchange of her daughter on Sunday. Family, friends, and strangers have been looking for her ever since.
What's going through your mind right now?
That we need to find her. That we just really need
to. All right. This is redundant, but it's great. I mean, I love to highlight the good that people do. And this is, again, Ed, us as law enforcement, we rely on folks like this to help supplement, and if they could find her or even just an item of interest, a piece of clothing, something that he might have thrown out of the vehicle, or something that happened in a struggle. If there was a struggle, I don't feel in my heart that this woman, that Cassie, went voluntarily with this guy.
Well, he's alleged to in the past have put a gun to her head, and there was other incidents where they had to get law enforcement involved to get the child back in violation of, it would appear to be in violation of the custody agreement that they had.
Right.
So,
right.
I mean, we can what if this to this, and woulda, coulda, shoulda, and all that stuff.
Right.
I mean, obviously, along the way, it's going to get looked at again about where mistakes were made in this custody situation and why he still had custody given the circumstances that we're hearing about now. But it's another tragedy.
Yeah, I agree. And everybody in the chat is agreeing with us, Ed. So I want to say quickly, I need to, both of us need to make some acknowledgement here. Thank you to the moderators, Dawn Marie. She's one of the great ones. Jen Lowe, thank you for being a moderator on this channel. And everybody and anyone who watches the replay and supports all of our educational videos. And we try to give you the best look from a police standpoint, police perspective, an investigative perspective. Ed Wallace, crime scene investigator, an expert in evidence recovery. He is just an unbelievable resource and asset to educating all of us, not just you guys, me as well. So I learn things from Ed Wallace on a regular basis, and that's what we want to do. That's our mission statement here, is that we want folks to understand the good that goes on behind the scenes, the stuff that when they turn the volume down and you can't hear about it, we kind of not talk about the actual evidence of the case, but we talk about what they do to bring justice for the victims and their families. And that's what's most important, right, Ed?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Forsakes Alive is here. No be he. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. It looks like we froze up just for a quick second there. Let me just stop this secondary screen. 411 now. Thank you for being here, Will. Always great to see you in the chat and in the live. I greatly appreciate you. Ed, you seeing anything that's jumping out at you in the chat? I know you.
Yeah. One of my students is in here, and one of my evidence collection team members from the NYPD is here.
Let's see, who is that?
Just say hello. I posted her name. Where is it here? Let me bring it back up.
You can do it. You're in control. But hello to all of our retired and active NYPD and crime scene investigators that watch and follow all of our live streams. Thank you for being here, and we love and appreciate the work that you've done in the past. So, yeah, you're welcome, Jill. It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you. And you know what? We're going to work on in the future some safety tips for the ladies and gents who are in similar situations. When you go and do a custody exchange, it's always great to have somebody there with you. I mean, there's so much shoulda, coulda, woulda that we can Monday morning quarterback here in this case, but it's important that we educate going forward. We have to learn by these mistakes, and these mistakes happen just innocently. And like I said yesterday, I feel that she was lured there and was out of her element because of something that he said to her. I feel that this demonic monster lured her there and committed his crime against her. I think he planned it, he perpetrated it, and he had every every intention on causing harm to Cassie, and he's going to have to pay the price for it. The long run.
He looks familiar to me. He looks just like another perp that had committed a homicide here in New York and in Los Angeles. Is Kenneth Kimes. He kind of has that same look. If anybody wants to Google that, look at the picture of Kenneth Kimes, Kimes, and this guy. They kind of have that same appearance. Just pure evil.
I'm going to Google it now as we speak, Ed. So let's do that really quick. Is it Kimes?
The Kimes. And he and his mother were running around the country and in foreign countries, stealing real estate and killing people. They murdered a man in David Kasdan in Los Angeles. They murdered a banker in I think it was either Bahamas or Bermuda. They murdered a woman, Mrs. Irene Silverman, here in New York. There.
Oh, wow. All right.
Well, there's the picture there. That kind of
this young one right here, right?
Kind of reminded me of this guy.
Yeah. Oh wow! Look at this one right here.
Yeah.
Creepy.
And we'll bring this perp's photo up.
This one here.
No, our guy now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Hold on a second. Let me take it off the screen. Should have did a side by side. There we go. Yeah. Similar, strikingly similar. Yeah.
I mean, when I saw his face right away, I said, "Oh my God."
Yeah, Ed, that was a good one. I would have never pegged that out, but I do remember that case. So yeah, you look that up. Crime aficionados, the people who are into the crime cases, just go and check that out.
We never did find her body, and we got the conviction.
Wow. Hey, guys, if anybody's new here, first time coming across Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace, let us know in the chat if you're new as we wrap this up. We got a lot of travel to do today. Ed's got double duty to do. He's going out, seeing some family, doing some things. Let us know in the chat if you're new and your first time here. If you're not yet subscribed, consider hitting the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you'll get all things from an investigator and a retired NYPD detective's perspective. Ed Wallace and myself have a combined experience of over 45, 46, 47 years. Yeah, so we have a lot of experience. And Ed, again, crime scene unit investigator. I have the stats on Ed. It's like 3 pages long, but he's involved in hundreds and thousands of trials and testimony and all the things that he's done. Ed's got an unbelievable resume, and it's a great thing to have him here. Barbara Ann, thank you for being new. Ed and I appreciate you guys tremendously, all of the new viewers, all of the replay viewers, and all of the folks who are engaging with us. Leave us comments down below. I'm wearing my Gabby Petito Foundation wristband. I want to show that full screen because that's where we're going today. Let's see. Is that coming across? No.
Yeah.
I'm going to take it off. I always try to do it, and it's like backwards, so I'm going to twist my wrist. So Justice for Gabby, we're going to be doing, we're going to be going out there and supporting the Gabby Petito Foundation today at 1 o'clock Eastern. I may fire up a live stream from that location. You never know. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how it feels, but I'm going to definitely bring my gear. I'll bring some extra microphones so maybe we can get Ed Wallace and myself on in the same place. Like, I'm excited just to be able to shake this guy's hand and say hello to him. We spent so much time together. It's like, it's crazy that we haven't had a chance to see each other. Joey Brooklyn's going to be there. Diane B., my neighbor across the street, she's going to come with me. My brother, retired Lieutenant DutyRon's brother, is going to be there. So we're going to try to do what we can from the Gabby Petito fundraiser, the foundation. They are supplementing search groups and domestic violence organizations through the Gabby Petito Foundation in the name of their daughter, Gabby Petito. So that is why we are there. I'm going to be representing EquiSearch Midwest as well. And it's going to be a great afternoon. We're going to spend an hour or two there and support this great family. Ed, any final words in regards to the Marcus Spanevelo arrest and what we could look at next here?
Things are moving fast and furious now. We're going to get more details in the coming hours, minutes, days. And I think they're putting together a very strong case. And God willing, we will recover Cassie.
Yeah.
And I'm getting tired of all this, man. It's just like one after the next. And it's like,
as seasoned veterans, and we've seen so much crime in New York City. We were there for the 90s. In 1991, there was 2,200 homicides in the city of New York. This stuff is never easy. It's not an easy pill to swallow. It does wear down on the seasoned veterans like ourselves, and it wears down on the investigators that are out there and the folks who follow it. Everybody here in the chat, you got to take a break from this every once in a while. And I say this because it's important. You got to clear your mind and do something that makes you happy. But this is part of what we do. We cover the missing We cover the missing that turn into, criminal cases, and it is what it is. So, Joy,
Ron,
Yeah.
I just want to jump in and say that these are truly innocent victims. A lot of the crime scenes that I investigated, it were criminals killing criminals. Okay, while no one should be killed, no one deserves to be killed in that fashion. These are the truly innocent, and it tears you apart. When you see this type of behavior, because it's typically the lifestyle people lead in the criminal lifestyle that ends up getting them killed. And these people have nothing to do with crime. These victims we're talking about here, I mean, they just, just had a poor judgment with loved ones. It's just terrible.
Yeah, your point is well taken here, and everybody concurs and agrees with you. This is just on a whole nother level, because again, Cassie went there with the thoughts that she was going to get her daughter, and it was going to be a routine custody exchange, and something potentially violent could have happened to her. Something obviously not good has happened, and we know that when 6 days go by and there's not a peep from the person, we've been down this road before, and it's a very unfortunate. And all we can ask for is thoughts, prayers, and strength to this family as we see them on national television going through a horror story, just as we saw Gabby Petito, Sincere and Classic, Suzanne Morphew. We could go all of these cases, and it's just the same thing. These people were just going about their day, and some predator or some evil monster decided to do whatever they did, and it's just horrible. So, guys, a lot of love from Ed Wallace and I. We are going to wrap this up. We're going to follow this case closely. Ed and I are on it. We're going to be watching. We're going to be following up with you guys as things develop. We may not do it real time as these things happen, because we do have lives. We are doing things. I was out at a 60th birthday celebration for my brother-in-law. People asking me, "Are you going to go live? Are you going to go live?" I'm upstate. I'm in Brewster, upstate New York. So I wasn't able to do it. This is the next thing. We snuck it in. Ed's got to travel now. Safe travels, Ed. We'll see you in a couple of short hours. Guys, on behalf of Crime Time and DutyRon and Ed Wallace, we're going to wish you guys a wonderful Sunday. Love and respect from our house to yours. As we like to end these things, God bless the world. God bless the United States of America, and God bless each and every one of us here in the chat.
And always be safe.
Yeah, be safe always. And all of our victims of crime and their families. We also send special prayers to Cassie's family for a recovery, or finding her remains, or finding her and finding out what happened to her sooner than later. Good day from New York. We'll talk to you soon. Peace, everybody. Thank you, Ed.